welcome to all our viewers of Herald TV. We have been launching a special program on prevention of diabetes and a very special program where we talk about living happily with diabetes. We had the first edition the last week, and our guest faculty was our Dr. Celso Fernandez, and it's my privilege to welcome Dr. Celso.
Namaskar.
Dr. Welcome. My magaco yokar tuka.
Thank you.
Last pore आमचो कार्य केल्लो living happily with diabetes. जायत्या लोकांनी म्हाका फोन करून सांगलें एकदम बरो जालो, आमकां बरें मार्गदर्शन मेळ्ळें आनी जायते जाणांनी विचारलें डायबिटीज अकस्मात जाता काय म्हूण. तर हांवें तांकां सांगलें की डायबिटीज चड पावटी you get the first phase or maybe the earlier phase, and that's pre-diabetes. And when you have pre-diabetes, there are exact signs and symptoms which are overlooked or not taken proper care of. Dr. Celso, you have done fantastic work in this subject of diabetes, and you have been at the helm of affairs with your Nave Marga Foundation. We are now set up new clubs, and more clubs are being set up. Just today you told me you are going to launch another club in Ambaoli. Yes, and that shows how practically you have been into this field. Though you are not from the field of diabetologist or all that, but you are a rich experience, and whatever work you have done and you have accomplished talks about your mission to say that Goa is heading towards a major problem. The other day I was told that a young journalist, a very famous journalist from South Goa, he had his leg amputated because of diabetic food. So, Doctor, could you throw light on what are the precautions to be taken when you get few signs and symptoms like urination, thirstiness, and you have hunger pains?
Yes, actually speaking, as I mentioned it last time also, diabetes is actually a disorder, and most of the time people are not even aware of it, what exactly is diabetes.
So you would not classify it as a disease per se?
No, it is not a disease because it doesn't get contaminated, in the sense you don't get from one person to another. It's basically a physical disorder of the body functioning, and automatically everything is related to the secretion of insulin and all these products, wherein it controls your sugar levels in the blood. So now what happens is, since the lifestyles have changed, instead we are now going into more processed food, then we are actually having the soft drinks, the Cokes, Pepsis and all these. With that, the sugar levels tend to increase very fast.
So you mean to say this is more a westernized problem?
That is true, because previously we were not having so many diabetics like what it is today.
Yeah, because now if you see the progression in Goa, say about 10 years ago and now, what do you feel?
There is a huge difference, because now what has happened, most of the people are working from home, plus it's digitalized. So what happens is activity has reduced, even among school children. If I tell you, we have so many schools where we have seen most of the children have started becoming obese, and there is lack of activity wherein they don't even go for sports.
So this is related to overweight?
Definitely, and main is faulty food habits.
Yes, but normally, do you think people are very structured in their thoughts when they think about their weight? Only when I think ladies are more into that.
Now the thing is, it's like almost taken off. Whatever we have to do it. It's not an issue, but only when the crisis starts, then the problem starts. Like now, say, since you said ladies, in ladies there can be excessive bleeding. There can be this POCDs. There are different complications.
Yeah, because this POCDs is something new.
And it is related to diabetes.
Like you say also the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Yes, fatty liver is very common now in Goa.
I was told that all the new hospitals that are coming, they have made provisions for the transplant of liver or parts of the liver because of NAFLD.
That is true. So now all these things, facilities are there, but why is it happening? The main reason for its happening is the change in lifestyles.
So now we talk about, you have got preventive measures, and you can do your blood tests and all that.
Yes.
what do you think should be the blood test at what age, for example?
Okay, now see, there are different blood tests at different levels. See, now suppose it's a pre-diabetic. Even a fasting blood sugar level is indicative whether you are going to be diabetic or not. And this doesn't even cost you more than 20 rupees.
Yeah. Now, fasting blood sugar means for
With a glucometer.
9 or 12 hours you don't have
Yes,
anything.
any meals.
And just you have a drop of your blood and test it. That is your
Fasting blood sugar.
Fasting.
Yeah.
Now, if fasting is normal, do you have also to do the postprandial?
It is not required unless and until you know that the levels are high.
Yes.
See,
but if you do, is there any harm?
There's no harm at all. It's only telling you whether the sugar levels are under control or not.
Yes.
So that postprandial test can be done after meals, at least after 2 or 3
2 or
hours,
3 hours
after
the
meals.
meal.
Yes.
Yes.
But the main thing is the fasting blood sugar is
So,
initial.
so at what age would you recommend for everybody that you do this fasting blood sugar?
Actually speaking, it's on the signs and symptoms. If by chance you start noticing that you're having frequent urination, you keep on feeling thirsty, if you start getting blurry vision, and if suppose by chance you see that you're already gaining more and more weight and having more of the food stuff which is actually not required because of frequent hunger, then automatically you'll start seeing. But for me, the biggest sign is when you start seeing blurry vision, because the vision gets affected much faster along with frequent urination.
Yeah. So frequent urination during the daytime or mostly at the night time?
Anytime. It can be anytime. Even night time, it can be like you get up in the night, in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock and feel like going to the toilet, means to the washroom and all. So it all depends. If you have this frequent urination and constant thirst, it is a sign of pre-diabetes.
So thirst means you would want to drink more
more,
and
yeah.
more and more water.
Definitely. And you feel thirsty continuously. And second thing is, if by chance your parents also were diabetic, then your chances of getting diabetes is higher.
So,
you have
so
to check.
if it is genetic or hereditary, and if you know that your father or mother or grandparents were diabetic, then the chances are greater.
Much higher. It's much higher.
So in such cases, as a preventive measure, it would be ideal to test the blood.
Yeah, and
There
that
is a
testing-
simple test.
and
And how much is the cost of such a test? Now?
Even if you do it on a glucometer, the total cost of a glucometer with 100 strips and 100 lancets will not cost you more than 2,500. So which means per test it will not cost you more than 25 rupees. And luckily Goa government is giving it free of cost all over Goa.
Is it?
Including the primary health centers.
Yes.
You can go to any primary health center and just request for a fasting blood sugar. They will do it for you immediately. Only thing you have to make a case paper.
Yes.
Now to make a case paper, the PHCs it's just 20 rupees, and whether it's in the CHC it will be 50 rupees.
Yeah, but once you make your case paper, then
You don't have to register again.
You can go.
As many times as you want, the test can be done free of cost.
So the best preventive would be to do the fasting blood sugar test.
Yes, that can be done anytime.
And do you have now? You have got your foundation, Nave Marg
Yes.
Foundation. What exactly you do?
See, basically whenever we start any club, our main intention is identifying the diabetic people in that area. People who are either on medications, they are either on insulin or even taking tablets for cholesterol. So if we get even say around 50 people of those type, and the organization can start taking care of them by noting down their sugar levels. Because I'll tell you now, being a member of Lions Club for last 31 years now, we have been doing diabetic detection camps, but after the camp, there has never been a follow-up. And now what happens, whichever camps we have done in the last 2 years, if we just test 100 people randomly, you will get at least 50% who are diabetic. So the level of diabetes is very high, out of which many of them don't even know that.
Yes.
So we identified by showing the sugar levels, which is more than 120 fasting blood sugar, immediately that person is actually pre-diabetic. But sometimes you won't imagine we get even levels of more than 200 and they are still not taking medications. And then when we do the further tests, we can see that their uric acid and kidney is not functioning properly, which means they'll have to go for dialysis. But if you can reverse it, in the sense put them in order, because what I found is the principle which I followed in this concept of living happily with diabetes is like an inspiration from Alcoholic Anonymous. You bring in a group, automatically your bad habits can go off. Because when the group decides, like now say when we decided to start with intermittent fasting, now take for example this 40 days of Lent. We had started one contest in a different way by saying flab to fabulous. Now what is the meaning of flab to fabulous? It's a weight loss competition which we have for 40 days. So we recorded their weights before on Ash Wednesday, that is during Carnival, and now after Easter we'll take their weights again, and whoever has lost even 3 kgs, there is a prize for them. But now, if you ask them, and we'll be taking interviews of each one, whoever is the winner, he will be giving an interview on what he has done differently in this 40 days.
Yeah, don't you think so? This 40 days which was there, it is there in the Bible, and most of the people do observe it. Did it have these health implications?
It should be, because of that only the things must have been done. Like now even Ramzan is going on, people are fasting.
Yeah.
So now Lent is going on, after some time Shravan will start. So all religions have that fasting thing.
So the fasting could be related for this health benefit.
And actually speaking, intermittent fasting and what fasting we are doing is almost the same in the sense.
Now a lot of people do fasting. Some they do fasting, they will not eat particular food on those days. Some will do for 12 hours, some for 6 hours. What exactly is your idea of intermittent fasting?
Actually speaking, even if you take right from olden days, when there was no electricity and all, what is to be fasting is have your dinner before sun sets and have your breakfast after sun rises. So whenever it is dark, you should not eat anything. So it was basically a 12-hour gap between the meals, and that was what was followed in the previous time.
Yeah, because even now the Japanese, for example,
They do all
they
this.
say even when they come here to go, and if you meet them, they say my dinner should be at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
And maximum they say 8, and after 8 it says no dinner at all. But our style now is you have dinner at 11, 12 and go to bed half an hour late. Now all this is creating a havoc now.
Definitely, and that is actually the reason, because see, most of the families which I have noticed, they always used to have late dinners, but now once they join the Living Happily with Diabetes Club, because everybody is following that protocol, everybody full this, and that is what I'm saying is the benefit of group therapy. So because of being in a group, they follow all these things.
Now where did you start with the first group?
This was started, I said, in 2021 in August at Kavilusim first.
So 2021.
August.
So you have completed 2 years now.
Almost in this August it will be more than 2
So
years.
you started with one club
Yes.
in Kavilusi.
And in that year, in 2021, total 5 clubs. That was in Novem, then we started at Kandolim, then we had at Dabolim, and the 5th club was in Lotolim. So we had 5 clubs in 2021.
And now
Now we have 28 clubs.
20. Are all of them working well, or
Yes.
it is normally you launch, you do something and you disappear?
No, so far only 2 clubs we have closed because of lack of attendance. And we have found the reasons also why for it. Because of that, now we are taking care. Whenever we launch a new club, we give it 1 month or 2 months trial period. After that, it becomes continuous.
So you concentrate only on 2 aspects. of this-
Exercise and diet.
Exercise and diet. Now you have been sharing with me about the exercise, walking or brisk walking, swimming, cycling and all that. Now what do you consider as a very good exercise for the control of diabetes, for example?
Okay, so now first I will just clear one misnomer which everyone feels is, many people in Goa think that walking is an exercise. Actually, walking is just an activity. It is not an exercise. Because in walking, you don't sweat. You just walk briskly or even you have to first sweat something out if you want to make it into an exercise. Better than that is basically yogas. Now, what we are doing in our Living Happily with Diabetes clubs and all is, when we do these yogas, there are specific yogas to activate certain organs. Like say, for example, for the pancreas, there are special yogas for activating the pancreas to increase your insulin level. And in main thing in yogas, you increase your flexibility, you start increasing your lung capacity. Main thing is lung capacity. So breathing exercise.
It's your breathing then.
It's breathing
And
exercises.
is it correct? Many people I have talked to, they say, you are not breathing properly. And I asked them, what do you mean I am not breathing properly? They said that when you breathe in, your chest muscles and your stomach muscles, they must expand. Your diaphragm should
Yes.
go down so that there's more capacity.
Yes.
And they say that this is what is seen in babies. Babies will breathe normally, regularly with this principle. But somehow or the other down the years of line, we reverse so that we are getting less amount of oxygen in body. Is it correct, Dr. Salso?
That is true. No, see, because what happens is now, like I always give the example of a balloon. If the balloon is not stretched, automatically capacity reduces. So now what happens is like if you see most of the people, you just ask them to even climb one floor on the steps rather than the lift. You will always start panting. So they will come and they'll sit and they'll say, give me 2 minutes to relax. Because they start panting only by climbing 20 steps. Now imagine in anti-gravitational exercises which we have, we tell them to climb 60 steps.
Yeah, and they say that 60 steps should be completed in 1.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes, 90 seconds.
This was also a study by the Harvard Medical School of late.
And this is actually a very good anti-gravitational exercise. There are many types of if you go on the YouTube, there are many exercises which are
But most people, they would use as a status symbol to go by the lift. And if you walk, they feel, what is this fellow is walking?
No, if you are health conscious, definitely you have to take care of your health. Because I'll tell you, for me, it was like quite a big inspiration. Last year when Rakesh Junjunwala passed away, the one sentence which really affected was when he said, God has blessed me with so much of wealth, I wish he had to only give me good health. But because of no good health, he could not enjoy his wealth also.
Yeah, that's a fact of life, because without health, you cannot take a half a step ahead.
That's what. So because of that, now we have to give at least 1 hour out of 24 hours for health. If you cannot exercise for 1 hour out of 24, how can you live healthy?
Yeah, and even they say now don't park your car very close to the place where you are going. Choose a place where it gives you an opportunity to walk.
That is true. It is there. See, walking is basically like an activity what you're doing. But if you don't do exercises, especially this breathing exercises, and like now yogas, I have not learned from school like it was there. But now once I've started using it, especially with the groups, like if you tell me to do yoga alone at home, it's very difficult. But when I go in the group, I don't mind doing any exercise. Even
so in these groups that you have, all of them get together?
Yes, all of them do the exercises together.
So all of them will do exercises together?
Yes.
And is there somebody who will guide them to do this exercise?
Yes, we have the trainers for them. No, for each group there is a trainer.
So there is a trainer, and who looks after the trainer? His emoluments or honorarium?
That is all done through Navemar Foundation.
So you have set up the Navemar Foundation with very well defined objectives.
Yes, because see, even when we set up the foundation, the main core values were health and education. And now what has happened from health and education is become health and sanitation.
Okay.
So now we are also taking care of the schools where the toilets are not maintained properly. So every quarter, every 3 months, we take up one school and improve their toilet facilities.
So you are expanding.
Because see, when you have a passive income and you are able to do it, why not do it?
And are people who initially are motivated, do they continue with this mission?
Yes, you can see now we have clubs which have completed 1.5 years or even 2 years now, some of them. Still the attendance is the same. The members are there and we have now grown to more than 900 members.
And I was told that you have launched now a new group in a housing society. This is the first of its kind, I was told.
Yeah, that was just about 3 weeks back at Socorro Gardens, that is in Socorro. It's a housing complex with more than 170 flats. So we have invited them to start in their own complex because they have the facilities. Gym is there, there is a yoga room is there. They have all the facilities, they have the lawns for walking, everything is there. But till today, each one was doing on his own. But now when there's a professional trainer there and they come at a fixed timing, they come in a group. Doing exercise in a group is totally different than doing it alone.
Yes, yes. And when you set up these clubs, what are the requirements per se?
See, basically our thing is the objective is more of helping them control diabetes and bring it back to normal. So for that, what we identify is now the requirements is we have to do testing of all the members, means the fasting blood sugars, and identify.
You have this many machines.
Each club is given one machine free.
You give them the machine. You give them the machine.
The glucometer, the strips, even the lancets, even whatever is required is given free of cost from the foundation.
And you train the certain
Actually,
people.
it's not. You don't require a training. Anybody can do it. It's very simple.
So is that easy?
It's very, very simple. It's just that you have to put a lancet in the pen, stretch it, inject, means the prick, then collect the sample and you get the reports immediately.
Immediately. And when you launched this, did you face any difficulties?
We didn't face any difficulty. The only difficulty that we found is even if suppose we go and do a diabetic detection camp somewhere outside, like now say we go and do it after mass, in a church we do it after mass. We might identify diabetic people, but most of the time when we call these diabetic people for the exercise, they'll never come. But non-diabetic people come first.
Yes.
So which means people who are already health conscious, they come for these exercises.
So how do you manage to get into the people this consciousness level?
So now our own members are noticing in their families, if there is anyone who is diabetic, or say in their society, somebody who is diabetic, they will invite them again and again to come and join. And we have
has
seen,
this been successful?
yes, the number has been increasing. So much so that just yesterday we got one patient at in our Navilim club who is actually was about to be operated for the knees. But now because of doing the exercises for just the last 2 weeks, I feel that that operation can also be avoided.
Okay.
And because what happens is the most important thing for knee problem is overweight. So if by doing this fasting and doing the proper diet control, if you can control your weight, you can control so many things.
What made you get into this?
It's basically that, see, what has happened now, even my mother has actually had to amputate her leg because of diabetes.
Is it?
But it started first with one toe, then it went for 4 toes, and finally it was till the knees. And this was in stages, and I could actually see the operations. And father also, now this is almost 5-6 years back, even father was because of kidney failures. And that also was because of diabetes. So all the sicknesses which come, like even Alzheimer's, it is all because of diabetes. And maximum part of it is more because of that laziness and no activity. See, the moment you become inactive, like now say for example a person who was a teacher, suddenly retires and at home only, and that activity stops, automatically when that activity stops, the body starts changing, and then tension starts coming because you have nothing to do. So when you have nothing to do, and in Goa, like especially in many families we have seen, they are living lonely lives, and especially after COVID, they don't even go out of the house. Like now we have our senior citizen center in Margao. Previously, even for birthdays, we used to celebrate, like every month we celebrate their birthdays. The house used to be full with more than 60 members. Now if you see, they won't even get 20 members coming.
That's because of the COVID problem.
Because of the COVID scare, now they are not moving out, and the children are not allowing them to go out. But now, in the name of diabetes, now the people have started coming for exercises. Because in that also, it is a health thing. So when we focus on health, at least they are coming for the exercises. And we have many senior citizens who are members of our club.
Yeah, you are talking about your own family. And then what about you?
I was detected, means I could make out actually in March 2021, since I have the facilities at South Goa District Hospital and very good friends who are doctors. So what happened is, I just happened to notice that my frequent urination and eyesight started blurring. So I just said, let me just check and do the HbA1c test, which is the average test of all 3 months. And that time when I saw the score as 9.3, that was the day when my life changed completely. And within 4 months, I brought it down to 6. And after that,
What did you do in those 4 months?
Controlled. First thing is give up alcohol, because we used to have. So I gave up alcohol for that time. Now only occasionally, if in case this is there, no late dinners. Dinner is always before 8. Avoid as far as possible non-veg. Only just small items like chicken and all is okay for few times. It's not that completely out of this.
But red meat, I think, is the most dangerous.
Yes. And because it takes time to digest also, and especially when you have it late dinners and all, it becomes a very big issue. So if you control your diet properly, like even having this in-between snacks, like we used to always say at 11 o'clock we feel hungry, so we used to have samosas.
Normally, I think there is no time schedule for our meals.
That is true.
But for everything else, there is a time schedule. If you want to go for this or this show or that show, it is at so and so time. But as far as eating and drinking is concerned, and if you get free, all the more.
That's true. That is the main thing. But now what happens when you have no control on your diet, automatically, because see, what happens is, even stomach is a muscle. Now if you are used to filling it up and suddenly you reduce it, the muscle starts feeling hungry again.
They say that normally your meals must be at fixed scheduled timings, and that you should not alter them, and that your dinner should be preferably by 7 or latest by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, see, main thing is, even if suppose by chance you have to have dinner at 10 o'clock, you need to give at least 2 hours of activity after that. You should not sleep immediately. But what we do is we have late dinners and sleep within half an hour.
I remember that in the villages normally, after the dinner, normally the whole family, they would go for a walk all together. And I know somebody who had gone for a walk, unfortunately there was an accident and they died. And people said, why are they going for a walk in the night? But this was being done from the days gone by.
Yeah, because that was the exercise what we used to do before. Now, because of this lack of exercise and because of eating uncontrolled, like you're not having control on your eating.
And always I remember my grandmother saying that leave little space in
is
your
true.
stomach. Is it correct?
Yes, because like now what we have said, even in a living happily with diabetes, I keep on stressing, dinner you should never fill your stomach more than 70% of its capacity.
So leave some space
For the digestion,
for
it has
the
to
digestion.
move. So if you want digestion, there has to be some gap left in it. So if you fill up 70%, your digestion is much faster. But if you overfill it, then you'll have problems with the digestion. And especially when you sleep immediately after food.
So you should not sleep immediately after the meal.
Like even in the afternoon lunch. Say suppose you have a lunch at say 1:30 or 2. You should not go and lie down immediately. You should at least lie. You can relax on the altar, like you can sit on your reclining chair and have at least half an hour you can read something. But don't sleep immediately after food.
And also the elders would say that eat at regular 3 hours interval. Don't eat in between. Is it true?
Yes, because see what happens is to digest a smaller amount is much easier than digesting a full amount one time. So instead of eating one shot and filling up as if for your for 8 hours and all.
And they would say have 5 meals a day. That you start
Small,
with the
yeah.
breakfast, mid-morning, lunch, mid tea, and then dinner. And then always maintain the same timings. Don't change them if possible.
No, but now what happens because of the job situation and all those who are like, see, if we are working in a corporate and all, we cannot maintain timing that much. But you can maintain timing at home.
Yes.
See, like now say suppose you are working in a corporate and you are reaching home only at 7:38 and in between you have to have your lunch only after the meeting.
Therefore, do you think that this term occupational hazard now has come in?
Yes, because now everybody is keeping under control because see, if suppose by chance your employees themselves are falling sick again and again, for you the productivity only will be less. So health is important in any company. So if the employee's health is not taken care of, company only will lose.
So to cut a long story short now, what is your message? Prevention and then the treatment.
See, my thing is creating an awareness and identifying the problem before it starts. So, and diabetes being like the cause of all the diseases, like actually speaking, diabetes is called as the mother of all the other diseases. So, unless and until you identify this diabetes early and change your lifestyles, you will not be able to cure. And once you are in that complication, you will end up in trouble, so much so that even your finances will go in the, I should say, drains off like anything, all because of the complications. Because you have seen so many cases, if last time also I had mentioned it, more than 80 to 90% of hospital admissions are only of diabetic patients. Rest 10% or 10 to 15% will be accident cases, but majority are diabetic.
Yes, diabetes. And what is the Goa scenario as of today?
50% at least, like I told you, if we just do a test, random test of say 100 people, you will get at least 50 who are with more than 120.
Is it?
Easily.
So you have your mantra through Nave Marg Foundation. Is Nave Marg Foundation available to anybody and everybody?
Definitely. Anybody and anybody in Goa especially. We are now focusing on Goa because we are fortunate, and I'll tell you, I'm very, very lucky to be in Goa because I have traveled the whole world. I have traveled entire India. You go to any place, whether it is abroad or even in India, and you just say that you are from Goa. Everybody says you are the luckiest person to be in Goa because Goa is basically like a heaven. You cannot get what is Goa in any other part of India.
That's why everybody now is coming into Goa.
Definitely, and you see the number of tourists coming is very high because Goa has got so many benefits. And when we are blessed with all these things, they said, let me focus and do something for Goans.
That's nice, Dr. Celso. I think it's your mission to see that the number of diabetes first is brought down and then controlled, because you cannot eliminate it altogether.
That's true. So basically it's more of information and trying to tell people that diabetes is not a disease, it's just a disorder.
Yes.
Take care of your health, otherwise everything will be in a mess.
You have associated voluntarily in doing this mission. Why?
It's a way of giving back because see, I have gone through life already for quite some number of years and we have been in the social activity for all this last 30 years. So only thing is, I was asked at one time, especially when I completed 50, I still remember one sentence which I'll never forget what my mentor, who is Ganesh Devajna, had mentioned it. First 25 years of your life are for learning. Second 25 are for earning. And whatever you get beyond 50 are for giving back. And now after that, I added one clause to that. The more you give, the longer you live.
Is it? It's a fact.
It is.
Are you enjoying?
Definitely. And especially when you see the smiles on all the people's faces, you'll definitely feel much more happier.
God bless Dr. Celso and
you.
your work, and may you fulfill your mission as early as possible. Thank you very much, Dr. Celso, for being with Herald TV.
Thank you.